In a land where blood bought peace, and peace cost more blood, two kings will learn that curses never die unless someone dares to forgive. Long ago, in the ancient lands of the Acholi, where the wind carried the songs of the ancestors and the rivers whispered to the trees, there lived two mighty kings, Ojwang of Lakwar and Odek of Pabong. Their kingdoms had fought for generations, over cattle routes, hunting grounds, and ancestral hills. Every boy born was raised with a spear. Every daughter mourned a brother. The drums of war never ceased. But the land grew tired. So did the people. At the urging of elders, the two kings agreed to meet at the sacred stone of Oriuma, a towering rock where the first Acholi chief was said to have spoken with the gods. There, they would forge a blood pact. Peace, it was said, required more than words, it needed sacrifice. Presiding over this sacred meeting was Akworo, a high priestess whose lineage stretched back to the first rainmaker. A woman of great wisdom and terrifying power, she was the spiritual voice of both kingdoms. Unbeknownst to many, Akworo had borne a child. Conceived in secret with one of the kings, though no one but the gods knew which. As drums thundered under a full moon, the kings sliced their palms and mingled blood in a sacred bowl. The ritual was complete, almost. For peace to endure, the ancestors demanded a final offering, a soul pure, untouched by anger or war. In the shadows, men whispered. Akworo's infant was taken in the night. Her child, just weeks old, was laid upon the altar and sacrificed under moonlight. The drums masked her cries. The kings signed their pact with smiling faces and blood on their hands. 3 days later, Akworo discovered the truth. They had taken her daughter. Used her as the final offering for peace. Something inside Akworo died, and something else awakened. Standing before the kings, before the elders, before the people of both kingdoms, she raised her hands to the sky and screamed. You have broken my womb to bind your thrones. Let your kingdoms bleed. Let your sons turn on their fathers. Let your names be buried in ash. Until a child born of war lifts this curse. Blood shall answer for blood. A violent wind howled through the gathering. Thunder cracked the sky. Akworo vanished into the forest, never to be seen again. The people said the land changed that day. Even the birds forgot how to sing. 10 years passed. Then 20. The peace failed. The curse had begun. King Ojwang turned inward, ruled by prophecy, rituals, and dreams. His court became a shrine, and his judgment turned to madness. He believed the ancestors spoke only to him. King Odek, once hopeful, became cold and cunning. He abandoned the old ways, relying on force, fire, and conquest. He believed unity could be achieved only through domination. Their sons fought, then died. Their armies grew. Villages burned. Entire clans disappeared into smoke. The people began to say the war no longer belonged to the kings, it belonged to the curse. In Lakwar, a boy named Okech was raised among warriors. Strong, bold, and fair, he was the orphan of a fallen woman from Pabong. He never knew his father. His only mark of origin was a strange birthmark shaped like a flame on his back. He rose through the ranks, not with ambition, but with honor. To many, he was a symbol of hope. Far to the west, deep in the mystic highlands, a girl named Nyara grew up in the care of forest seers. Quiet, observant, and wild as the wind, she was trained in ancient traditions. She spoke to birds. She walked barefoot through fire. She had no idea she was Akworo's daughter, saved in secret on the night of her supposed death. Though they lived miles apart, they were already walking the same path. One fog-thick morning, near the ruins of an old Lakwar outpost, Okech and Nyara met, not as allies, but as enemies. Steel clashed. They fought with the fury of lions, neither yielding, neither knowing the other's name. But their battle was interrupted by a sudden ambush. Neutral mystics, long exiled from both kingdoms, surrounded them and took them prisoner. In the mystics' camp, truths were revealed. Okech was not just any soldier. He was the bastard son of King Ojwang, born of a woman from Pabong who had fled after the blood pact. His blood carried both kingdoms. Nyara, the girl raised by mystics, was not just a priestess in training, she was the lost daughter of Akworo, the child once thought sacrificed. Her survival had been kept secret, for the sake of the world. Their names, their faces, their very lives were the fulfillment of Akworo's curse, then possibly, its end. One night, Nyara dreamed of her mother's voice, soft like river water. Break the drum, or sound it once. The curse must end with the children who carry both crowns. The mystics told them of the drum of the ancestors, a sacred relic, hidden for centuries, that could call the spirits of the dead. If struck with pure hands, unblooded by hatred, it could silence war itself. Together, Nyara and Okech set out to find the drum. Together, they would decide the fate of the land. Their journey was long. Through cursed forests, over drowned fields, past villages destroyed by greed and revenge. Along the way, they learned each other's truths. They learned of pain and family, and the heavy cost of legacy. They found the drum of the ancestors hidden deep inside a stone cave carved with the names of those forgotten by both kingdoms. It was guarded by silence and a riddle. Strike this drum with hands untainted, or the dead will rise to finish what the living began. With the drum in their care, Nyara and Okech returned, but not to thrones or fathers. The kings had heard of their journey. King Ojwang, seeing Okech as proof of betrayal, branded him a traitor. King Odek, realizing Nyara's heritage, tried to use her name to claim Lakwar. Both kings prepared for a final battle, each unaware they were preparing to fight their own blood. The armies of Lakwar and Pabong met in the valley of Kumi, a place soaked in the bones of ancient chiefs. The sky was dark, the air heavy. Okech and Nyara stepped between the armies and struck the drum. Once, the sound rippled like thunder through the land. The wind stopped, and from the earth the dead rose, not as corpses, but as spirits. Sons and fathers, mothers and daughters, children who had never known peace. They stood between the soldiers, between the kings. King Ojwang fell to his knees, tears streaking his face. "What have I done?" he whispered. King Odek looked at Nyara and said, "She has her mother's eyes." Then, King Ojwang did what no king had done in 100 years. He laid down his spear, stepped forward, and drew a dagger. "Let it end with me," he said. He drove the blade into his chest, falling at the feet of the ancestors. The sky wept. Rain fell for the first time in months. The spirits faded. The soldiers dropped their weapons. And the war ended. Not with victory, but with sacrifice. Years passed. Nyara became the keeper of the drum. She wandered the land, teaching the children the stories their fathers had buried. Okech never took a throne. He became a builder, a guide, a man of both kingdoms. The names of Ojwang and Odek faded with time, but the names of Nyara and Okech were sung by the griots, carved into stone, and whispered by rivers. And deep in the hills, when the wind is still, some say you can hear the voice of Akworo. The blood of two kings fed the earth. But it was the heart of two outcasts that healed it. If you enjoyed the story, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video and make sure you comment on which part you enjoyed the most. Thank you, stay tuned for more. With love from Kiki.